Hi guys, Rick here from Photo, and this part 3 of the review of the Dazzne and Kody TTL triggers. We're going to have a look at a comparison on the speed of operation between these triggers and the Yongnuo 622 triggers, which are also for Canon as well. So we'll see which is quicker, the direct access on top of the camera control unit in comparison to the Yongnuo ones where you have to use the camera menu system to control the power output of the flash. Okay, so here we are with the Kody TTL triggers. I'll keep saying Kody because I can't pronounce the actual manufacturer's name. Anyway, so this, as you remember from the previous videos, this is a commander and can act as a slave as well. So it's a transceiver in essence. Although I wouldn't want to fly this thing on a stand with a flash on it with a modifier if it could go down, say, in the wind, because this will be susceptible to breaking. If the receiver goes down and breaks the foot, no big deal, whereas you break this thing, it's kind of expensive. You know, you're in trouble. So what we'll do, we'll change the power settings on this in manual mode, and I'll just bring the screen on there. Okay, so we'll change the power setting. The flash is in manual at the moment, 430EX2, and the commander, or the master as it is at the moment, on a 5D Mark II. When you've got this thing mounted, it overrides everything you do within your camera menus. So what this says goes, basically. Okay, you can, though, in manual mode, change your flash power over here in third stops if you wish. Okay, there we go, third stops. Look at that. So, manufacturer, I'm assuming you're going to watch this video. Why can't you do it on this thing? You need to be able to do it here instead of just full stops. So, firmware update, please. Anyway, so let's see how quick we can change the power settings. So we'll just reset that back to where it was. And it's pretty quick on this thing. So, select the group you're working with, and up the power we go. Full power. Boom. There we go, as quick as that. So it's really quick to change those. Going through the shooting mode, say first curtain, second curtain, high speed sync, again, is really fast. We can just press this button down here to cycle through. There's high speed sync and there's second curtain sync, and you will see it being confirmed on the 430EX2 as well. These buttons do take quite a bit of a press to change, which is a good thing. So at least when you're shooting, if you've got a big forehead, maybe, it doesn't press these buttons accidentally. Or maybe if you're wearing a hat or something, it's not going to depress these and change settings on you. So that's a good thing. Good solid little unit, very, very easy to change each individual setting. Okay, including going through the ratios, A and B groups, A, B and C, okay, and so forth there as well. And you can go through the channel selection, so it's really quick to get through to. The only thing you can't really change too quickly with these, I've found, is the zoom. You need two button presses here, okay, then select which group or which flash you want to change and then go into it. So maybe it's a bit quicker than on the Yongnuo ones, we'll see. But certainly your basic power settings, your basic ratio settings are very, very quick from this. How important that is to you depends on what you shoot and how you shoot. If you're doing stuff which is set up, controlled in a studio environment, the difference in the speed of operation that you're going to see between these two sets of triggers is probably a non-issue. The Yongnuo ones do have the advantage of having third stops from the controller unit instead of having to go over to the flash, like on these. Whereas on these things you are stuck, with just full stops. I've said it in probably every single part of the video review that I've done because it bugs me. So firmware update needs to be released for these. For me to adopt these and use these, I want third stops. At the moment I'm happy to walk over to the flash and change it using my normal triggers. So it's a bigger mission. So let's switch this out now to the Yongnuo 622Cs, which are again a Canon based trigger. They are doing a Nikon version as well, I believe. And we'll see how quick it is going through the camera menus built into the 5D Mark II to change the power settings, the first curtain, second curtain and high speed sync in comparison to these Kody triggers now. Okay, now we're back with the Yongnuo, I'll finally be able to say that word, YN622Cs, which C signifies the Canon version. Now, the difference with these things is we have to control all the options for the triggers and control the flash through the built-in speed light control menu that your camera has. Now, this will be different across Canon cameras. On the 5D Mark II, it's here under external speed light control, which I've registered on the My menu. My menu is a fairly common feature, so it's a quick way to them, which may save you a bit of time. So currently we are in ETTL on the flash. I don't know whether you can see that there. We'll just turn the backlight on. 28mm high speed sync is set on according to this. Now the group settings and so forth, like the Kody or the Dazzne Kody triggers as well, is selectable on the receivers and of course the controllers with buttons on the side of the units as well there. So you can change the channels and the groups accordingly that you're shooting with. But we're looking more so at the control through the menus. So we'll go into the external speedlight settings, flash function settings. There we go. Now actually just quickly I just want to see whether we can go into the flash custom function settings, and we can, which is brilliant. Okay, it still allows us access to the custom function settings there, which is nice. So we'll go external speedlight control, flash function settings. Now let's kick it to manual. So I've had to go into the my menu. So let's say you're shooting and you're kind of over here. Now some Canon cameras you can set to always come up on the my menu menu tab, which may save you a bit of time, but you're going to have to scroll, you know, all the way over or to one side. It will let you go back, that's a little bit quicker, to the external speedlight and then into the function settings. So we'll kick this now to manual. There we go. Now the greyed out areas here will probably depend on what external flash you're running. I mean, this is a 430EX2, so it's not a 580EX2. It doesn't really do multi-strobe or anything like that. So you may see some differences there. So it's fairly quick to get in to change it to manual, and we'll change the power. Let's just turn the backlight on here, come down to the power, and we can change that. But let's back out of the menu first, okay, and see. So you would have to go menu, external, again, down to the power, and then let's crank this thing up all the way up to full power. So it's conceivable that it can take you a little bit more time to do that in comparison to the Kodys. It's not quite as quick having to rotate the wheel to cover all the third stop options, but hey ho, there we go. We at least get third stops. Okay, look at that. Hey. Third stop. So you've got full power minus 2/3. Awesome. Okay, I like having third stops. So let's go in and change this back to TTL. There we go, and we'll change it to high speed sync, which is fairly easy to do once you're in the menus, but again, we'll back out. We'll go into the menu. Okay, I want to go to, first curtain sync, so let's quickly change that there, and there we go, we're shooting. Now, which is quicker for you? I suppose it depends on how quick you are in operation with your menus. I may not be the quickest at doing this. I'm used to just working with manual lights I have to walk to and from. Whether as I get older I would like the convenience of not having to bring lights back down on off 13-foot light stands, change the power, send them back up. You know, maybe it's handy being able to control things from your camera. Certainly, I think the control unit, which is here with the dedicated buttons, is a little bit quicker because it's right there for you. But it's not too much slower changing the settings within here. So just quickly, let's change the flash zoom. So here we go. I mean, bear in mind you probably do this with two hands as well, to be fair. So external speedlight control as you're holding the camera, and go down to the zoom, and let's change that, and you can hear the flash change. So it's fairly easy to do. Now, some of you may prefer using the menus because you're used to this layout, you're used to the information as it's displayed, as opposed to new triggers. There'll be a time period of getting used to new triggers. I noticed that when I used the Photix Odins a little while ago, I had to go at them a little quirky on how you get into access things and how to change the features and functions, but once you get used to it, it's pretty quick. So that's just a quick comparison really of these two. Feature sets wise, they've both got great range. You know, where are we? 400 meters for the Kodys. These things are outwards of 200 meters. I've never shot with a flash more than 5 meters away, probably. Really, it's a rare thing. So plenty of range. You know, no problems with triggering. You know, been reliable. ETTL works as normal. It's inconsistent as ever. That's why I prefer manual flash, but it has its purpose. Battery life, it's hard to say. Not really had them long enough. But the big difference is, I mean, the price of these things. Okay, they'll do TTL, they'll do wireless control for you, multiple groups. Pass through TTL here for on-access fill. they'll do the third stops, and that's the big thing. Plus this is a little bit lower in profile, so your flash doesn't sit quite as high if you're using on axis, which working at range, not too much of an issue. But imagine with this sat on your camera, it is that little bit higher once it's mounted, so the flash does sit high. I mean, it's actually going off the frame there, so you can see because it is a bigger unit. It's going to change your lighting pattern and the throw. Now if you're working close it could be a problem, working far away not so much. The AF assist beams, it sucks on the Yongnuo one, it's well known, it's crap, the pattern of it's all rubbish. It does kind of work, but I'd rather use a torch. You could still use the AF assist beam with a mounted speed light. In fact, if you mounted a second speed light here and used the AF assist on that, better results. This does not have a built-in AF assist beam on the Kody, but you can of course mount a flash and use the AF assist beam there should you wish to. Now AF assist beams can still work with these wireless triggers as well on remote flashes. That said, they're probably not going to be pointing in the right direction for you, so I don't know how useful that is really. But both very good triggers. Price point wise, these are considerably cheaper. I mean, in the UK you're looking for £60 for two of them, whereas for a full set of these you're climbing into the £200, maybe a bit more range. It will differ in your regions, but very impressed. Overall, very impressed with the Kody trigger units. I'm lucky to have these available just to draw some comparisons to. My friend who's actually sat behind the camera at the moment uses these triggers. Okay, but very impressed with these. So to the manufacturer, final point on this, please update the firmware and give us third stops on these triggers, because it really is missing now. They really do need third stops. You've got a great solid little unit. It's built like a tank. It feels like I could drop it and it'll be fine. That said, I mean, I mentioned before I don't really want to fly this thing on light stands, because if the screen cracks then it's non-usable as a controller really. But nice solid unit, very well packaged, well presented, and it works well. High speed sync, everything works. Earlier TTL triggers were a nightmare for things not working, you know, with bugs and firmware updates needed. And now we're at a stage where these things are comparable to the manufacturer's own solutions, and they are cheaper, and that's good. So thank you very much for watching. If you've got any questions about these units, not so much about the Yongnuos, remember this is mainly a review for the Kodys, then let us know in the comments or drop us an email. Also check out the full written review as well on Lighting Rumours. Thank you very much to the manufacturer and David Selby of lightingrumours.com for sending these over. Okay, and you know, go and check out that site for some great information and reviews on upcoming products in the world of lighting for photography. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys soon.